Hey everybody, Dave here. Welcome back to another one. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of how I restored this 1965 V-hull and how I think it became the ultimate small lake fishing and hunting machine. So stick around. Alright, let's start up here in the front of the boat and I'll go through everything, show you what I've done. First thing I've done is I've had this trolling motor here, but as you can see, the motor goes this way, props in the back, and the controls actually face the prop. So what I've done is I've just taken the bolt that's in here out and I've turned the head and put the bolt back in. What that does is it allows this to act like a trolling motor from the front where you can get at the controls quite easily. The other thing I've done is I've built this extension right here. This is 1.25 inch pipe, and I've drilled a hole first bigger than the slot I wanted to create, as you can see it here. All right, and then what I've done is it slides nicely over the handle here. I just clamp it down. This is a coupling and with a reducing bushing and 1 inch pipe. There's 1.25 inch eyelets right here. There is a double nut inside that's tightened against itself, so I never have to worry about that loosening. And then a single nut right here. I opened one of the eyelets and put the one inside and then closed it up again and did the same thing. Inch cap down 1 inch and another inch cap on the end to finish everything off. And what's great about this is it allows me to turn the motor on, turn it backwards, whichever way I want, and it also allows me to steer it anywhere I want on the boat. Real simple. When I'm done, I can set it right back here in the rod holder side so it's not in my way when I'm fishing. And it allows me to fish from the front of the boat. So let me move this out of the way and I'll show you what else I've done. Down here I've created a hatch, and as you can see it is pretty big, pretty spacious. I put a motor or a battery tie down right here. I keep my ropes in here, life jackets. I have buoys. I have my other box with registrations, everything, first aid kit, flare gun. And this can actually go back pretty far. So it has quite a bit of room in there. Keeps the boat nice and neat. The wire runs down here, but I see no need in cutting that out or anything like that. It does a good job of staying right there for me. On the boat here, I have 6 of these Velcro tie downs. I got these on Amazon, and there's 6 of these. One there, and one down the end. I have 6 on the other side, and that side I use it to fasten my rods down when I'm traveling, or you know, just when I'm fishing I can lash them down. This is really important because I fish a lot of lakes where only electric motors are needed or can be used. The oars are essential. We've already got hung up on a log that was submerged and could not get off with the electric motor. We needed the oars, and they saved the day. So make sure you always have a good set of oars in your small boat like this. It'll really help you. And if your battery dies, you can always get back. The other thing that the boat initially had when I got it was these rod holders, okay? They were actually white, and I didn't want white because when we go duck hunting, I don't want that something that stands out. So I have one there, and then there's also another one here. And so what I've done is I painted them black. Now, if you ever want to paint rod holders or anything that's plastic a different color, use Rust-Oleum 2X paint. It sticks to plastic very well, and it minimizes chipping. It lasts quite a long time. Now for the front seat here, this is where my buddy John sits. John's the one who gave me this boat and asked me to fix it up, and the only thing he wanted out of it, he actually gave me some money to put into it. The only thing he wanted out of it is for me to take him fishing, and we've been doing that. Not as much as I'd like, but we're trying to work to do that a little more. As you can see, what I've done here is I built a stanchion that the seat can sit on. This is 3/4 inch pipe, and what I've done is I've stuck a piece of 3/4 inch round bar inside that pipe, put a washer in there, and welded it all up. I do not like the aluminum ones. I've read reviews on Amazon. People have bought them, and even lightweight guys, they can break off. So this being steel, I know it may have a tendency to rust, but you know what? So far, so good, and it's super strong. The seat sits right in here in the 3/4 inch pipe and swivels perfectly. And if I need to take it out, I have different sizes. If I want a taller seat, or if I want to sit low to the deck, that seat's perfect. The other thing I've done is I've taken 1.5 inch pipe here. I've taken some 1-inch bar and I bent that and then twisted it. So this way, the rod holder that this is angled forward and out of the way, and it's perfect for just sliding a rod in there. On the other side, what I've done is I've taken a 3-inch piece of pipe and I flared the top. And the way I flared the top on that one was just using a wine bottle. I heated it up with a heat gun, stuck the bottle in, and just worked it around. And done the same thing with this, but I forget what I used, but it was something a little bigger. And then this actually has an open bottom, so if you drop anything, it'll just come out. I did the same thing. I used a little bit bigger stock, and then I screwed it to the aluminum seat on the bottom. Same thing with this. I ran screws up from the bottom. As you notice, I have seat bases here. There are 4 of them on the boat. There's one here, there's one under here, and there's 2 back here. Let me show you why I have 2 there. If you're sitting here in this seat and you're centered in the seat, you can easily grab hold of the trolling motor that's over on this side. But you can't get to the throttle on the outboard. It's too tight. And as you can see, it hits the seat. So just by moving the seat over to this mount right here gives you plenty of access to the throttle and allows you to bring it back and forth without hitting anything. And it works super on that. So again, here's one of the tie downs I have there. I have a fire extinguisher mounted there as per regulation for an outboard. And also I have a catch-all box there. I keep my whistle in there and also my plugs and my wrench. I can also hang lures on there when I'm done fishing with them. Now, as far as the flooring goes in this, what I've done is I've taken a piece of plywood. I think this is 30 inches that I cut across here. But if I just left it like that, because the boat dishes underneath like this, and this is 1/2 inch plywood, it would be flimsy. So what I've done was I've put a mark over here once the plywood was in centered, and then I measured down a 1/2 inch more to carry the difference for the plywood, and then from that mark down to the bottom of the boat, whatever that was, I cut a piece of blocking that thickness and screwed it to the plywood right here, and I think down here. And that is super solid now. All the weight goes right to the bottom of the boat. The sides here are setting on the ribs, so it is super solid. And if I ever need to lift it out, I can easily do that, like to clean it or to clean underneath it. So that works out really well. Let me share with you one thing about the plywood. On the plywood on this boat, everything is 1/2 inch, and it is pressure treated plywood, but it is not the regular pressure treated plywood that you see. Most pressure treated plywood has a copper azole in it. That's a solution they use to preserve it. And this plywood is Eco Life by Lowe's. You need to get the Eco Life if you're going to be using it on an aluminum boat. If you use the regular stuff with the copper azole in it, it has a tendency to pit your aluminum to the point where if it's there long enough, it can actually put holes in it. And as you know, holes in boats do not mix. So that's a really good thing to remember. If you're going to be doing a restoration like this, make sure you get the Eco Life, which is rated for aluminum, as far as I know. The other thing was I put cleats on here. There were 2 on here. I added 2 more. 2 up front, 2 here. And then I also put a cleat all the way up top here that I use for launching the boat. These 2 web strips right here I use because I have clip-on navigation lights, green and red. And I wanted to use battery operated lights in this just for simplicity's sake. I didn't have to run wires. I didn't have to fool with switches. I just hook them on if I need them. If I don't need them, it's something I can just take off to help preserve it, okay? As far as fastening the carpet, and I got all this carpet for $19.99 at Home Depot. It came in one big roll. I think it was like 6 by 12. And I didn't have to ask to have it cut or anything, and it was enough to do everything. The floors, the seats, all that. And let me show you how I put it on here. I just cut the corners and folded it under like this, but I did make sure I used stainless steel staples on everything. I didn't want those rusting. I didn't want them leaving rust marks or anything. The framework on this is all made out of 2x3, regular 2x3 lumber. It's not pressure treated because I didn't want it against the aluminum. All right, and so what I've done is I've given this 2 coats of gray Rust-Oleum oil-based paint, and it is really holding up well. On the back side here, I took plywood, and because this transom was rotted out, I took 3/4 inch plywood here, and I encapsulated the whole thing with fiberglass resin. I held it in place, and after I did that, and I drilled the holes where I was going to mount everything here on those sides too as well. And then what I did was I took the transom back out. I encapsulated those holes. I put fiberglass resin on those holes, so this board is completely encapsulated. There's no way water can get in it anyway. The battery goes over here, and I can take and have a 6-gallon tank over here. Down here is the plug, and I use brass Garfield plugs for this boat. All right, so that is the storage compartment in the back. The outboard here is a 6 horsepower outboard that came with the boat, and what I've done is I rebuilt the carburetor on this, and I also put a new fuel pump in, and it was not putting water out the telltale to show me that water was flowing, so that was clogged up here. I had to replace a fitting inside on that. I gave it a coat of paint, and she's looking pretty. All right, the other thing I did over here was it had a flimsy mount on here for the trolling motor, so I beefed it up. As you can see, I took pressure treated 1-inch decking and rounded it over and screwed it through from this side on this this plate right here. This is about 3/16 plate, and then I welded this bar in here, stepped it down, and bolted through. The 2x3 runs right here, so these bolts go directly into solid. They're not just in the plywood; they are in solid wood, and this is extremely sturdy, as you can see. All right, and I like it corner mounted like this. It really helps to be out of the way and gives me full control of the boat quite easily. I put a bilge pump hose in here. I don't have the bilge pump hooked up yet because we haven't needed it. This is the other thing I made, and it's a fish basket. A lot of guys have live wells on the boat for bait and for fish and stuff, but the problem with that is this boat isn't huge. It's made for small lakes. And the other thing is, when you have fish in a live well, if it's not recirculating, where it's pulling in fresh water and dumping the old water, the fish will poop in it, and then it builds up in ammonia and the fish can die. So I wanted something that didn't require batteries, didn't require circulation, all that stuff. And so the basket was $6 at Walmart. I took and I bent this wire. This is 5/16 rod. I bent it, and then I drilled a hole into the gunnel, into there, and I welded on a piece of this 5/8 stock, which slides right in there. And as you can see, that is super heavy. All right. This here is for my Garmin fish finder, and I use a Garmin 4X fish finder, which is awesome, guys. If you are considering that, it's a really good choice, I believe. And so it works out really well. The trailer, I completely rebuilt. I stripped it down. I painted it. Those tires, as you can see, don't have any lugs in them. And that's because these older trailers, they actually, you change the wheels by loosening and removing the bearings. And so that's what you have to do with this one. I was able to get the tires out of Delaware at a marine trailer place. So gave everything a coat of paint, adjusted everything, and that's it, guys. This boat did have leaks in it, so what I did was to seal them, any place underneath in the bottom of the hull where a seam was like this, I used JB Weld to fill those seams. And then I also used Marine Sealant 5200 Fast Cure, all right? Not the regular stuff. I used the Fast Cure, and I filled in all the seams like that, and any rivets that were possibly, you know, questionable. And I had stripped the whole boat down before I did that, because it did have some Flex Seal on it that was put on there to try and stop the leaks and stuff. So I stripped it all down before I did that. And then afterwards, what I did was I camouflaged it. And as you can see, I cut my own stencils and camouflage it. And what I really want to do with this boat is give you a breakdown of how I did everything, as far as the fish basket, the camouflaging, the extension handle for the motor, all that, and so that you can actually have some more time, how I built the anchor and everything, so we can have some more detail. I don't want to make this video too long, but I wanted to give you some ideas of how I did this. The other thing is, when I put this in order to get a nice tight fit, as you can see is in here, what I did was I put the framing in first, and the framing actually is straight right here, and then it curves up like a house peak, and the plywood goes on here. Again, everything is pressure treated, or not pressure treated. Everything is encapsulated with the Rust-Oleum gray oil-based paint, and fits right in there. When you cut your doors, you cut them a 1/4 inch smaller on two sides than what you think, and then that makes up for the carpet, gives you a super tight fit. But what I did was I used cardboard and just kept working it till it fit in there perfectly tight. Then I laid it on top of the plywood and cut that, and it was a perfect fit. I gave a little overhang here for detail on all my seats, and so yeah, that's it, guys. So I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope it's something you might take on yourself. The total cost on this was about $950. The seats, that seat we had, these seats I had, the trolling motor up there I had. John did buy this trolling motor here. I rebuilt the carburetor, carpet, the plywood, new tires, paint, new lights. Everything was about $950. So if you do the work yourself, as you can see, you can have the ultimate fishing and duck hunting machine. We have been enjoying it and taking it out in the smaller lakes. It's a joy to launch. It can get in places my big boat can't, and 3 guys are quite comfortable fishing in it all day. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to check out our videos and our channel. And you know, if you're not a subscriber, I'd really encourage you to take the time and do so. And make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You know, one of the things I wanted to leave you with is this. You know, most people, if they saw the boat the way it was initially, they would certainly pass on it. They would think it really isn't worth it. And you know, it's really not even fixable, you know, but they would be wrong. And you know, for so many people in our lives, and even when we look at ourselves, with the brokenness that goes on in our lives, we think we're not worth much. We think we're not worth anything to people or to God. And there are times where life just overwhelms us to the point where we just feel broken. But I'm here to tell you right here, right now, that that is not the case. God loves you more than you could ever know. And the thing of it is, just like I took the time to restore this boat, and it was a labor of love, God wants so much to restore you back to the person He designed you to be. He longs to have a relationship with you. He longs for you and Him to walk together in this life. He longs to forgive you. He longs to welcome you home into his kingdom. And you know, if you're not sure how to do that, it's really quite simple. But I've laid it all out for you in a free book that I have listed in the description below. It's called Growing Deep. And I've also put down there several of my other books that you can find on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles as well. But they're there for you to help point you back to Jesus, to show you how you can have a right relationship with God if you don't have one, and if you're not walking with God, how you can do that step by step. It's a short book, it's an easy read, but I encourage you to check it out, because you know the most important thing in life is whether or not we know God. And so guys, I would encourage you to take the time to do just that. So again, thanks for watching. Check out the books. Thanks so much for all your support to us and our channel. And until next time, get out there in creation and spend time in there, but not just with creation, spend it with the Creator as well. So until the next one, God bless.